morning. I think my camera's working. I think my voice is working. I see the meters going up and down. Welcome to the O-Scope Wizard. I'm Gabe, the O-Scope Wizard, and it has been, well, a really long time since I have joined you guys on the interweb. Of course, it is Tuesday, and it is Band Shirt Tuesday. I'm wearing my Half-Alive tie-dye band shirt, my only piece of tie-dyed clothing, in fact. Yeah, if you hadn't heard this band, I mean, seriously, check them out. Half-Alive, pause the live stream. You can come back to it because it will be recorded and archived for all times. So any mistake that I make will be viewed over and over again. I have been on the road. That's why I haven't been live streaming. I've been on the road inside of an RV camper. So a trailer behind a truck. I got a truck. I got an RV. We took it on a really long trip out to West Texas. And I had never been to West Texas, but West Texas is a desolate, quiet, remote place that has no cell phone coverage whatsoever. I mean, it doesn't even have radio stations, no over-the-air television station. It is a very, very remote place. And what little cell phone coverage that is out there is very weak and barely worked. So when we brought the RV back home, I realized that I need to solve that problem because when I travel in the RV, it's really nice to have the internet, to be connected. Also, I'm planning on working out of the RV a little bit, so it would be good to have the internet. Also, in the techno layer, here, where we are, in the techno layer, I don't have great cell coverage. So, how does one get better cell coverage? One of the solutions is a cell booster. So, we bought a cell booster. I don't know if you guys have ever tried a cell booster. I had not tried a cell booster, but we got this one. It is the Weboost Drive X RV. And after I got it, it comes with this really cool antenna for the outside. It's an omnidirectional antenna. And then it comes with this little box right here that is the actual booster. And then an inside antenna. And when I was researching it, there's a lot of debate on the web about whether or not a cell booster is good or bad, or if it makes any difference at all. And I didn't know. I mean, the only way to figure this out, in my opinion, is to test it. That's what I'm going to do today. I'm going to actually test it. So I have this Weboost right here. We're going to plug it in down here in the techno layer, and we are going to see if it improves our cell signals. And we are going to do this a couple of different ways. I have a couple of different phones here on different carriers. And I also have test equipment. So we're going to be able to hopefully demystify some of the mystery surrounding cell boosters and what they can and can't do. Yeah. So I think that's my intro. I think that's everything. Band Shirt Tuesday, cell boosters. Let's figure out if we can measure this thing. You know what I didn't do? I didn't grab my timer. So we'll see how long this goes. Let's get into it. Here is the cell booster that I bought. I went on to Amazon, picked this one. I'm not sure exactly why I picked this one. I suspect the reason was twofold. Pretty good reviews, 4.1 out of 5 stars on 608 reviews, which isn't bad. This one is a little bit better. I wonder if that's better. I'm not sure. But this one also was a warehouse deal. So I feel pretty good about it. I thought that we would start by taking a look at the manual to see what the claims on the cell booster are. One of the claims that it makes is its power boosting capability. So on the box, it says that it can boost up to 50 dB. So it has 50 dB of gain maximum in certain situations. Okay, so we get into the manual. You know how I love data sheets. I feel like that's a good place to start if you have questions about a device, is in the data sheet or the manual. Here's all the instructions. It talks a lot about how to install it. And before I drilled any holes in anything, I wanted to make sure that it actually worked. Now, I can say when I put it into the RV, it seemed to boost the signal. I mean, my signal bars did go up. But it goes into great depth in this manual to say, listen, signal bars aren't the end all be all. It's call performance. I think they don't want people to be disappointed when their signal strength indicator on their cell phone doesn't automatically go up. And in their defense, it is really hard to tell in these cell phones, like, how good is this signal? I am going to do them one better. I am going to use a piece of test equipment. So here are the specifications that I'm looking for. The frequency bands that this cell booster works at are 700 megahertz, 800 megahertz, 1700 megahertz, and 1900 megahertz. So it has the uplink and the downlink. So this is from the cell tower. The downlink is from the cell tower out to your phone, and uplink is from your phone back to the cell tower. So one of the tricks that the cell booster has to enable is not only communication from the cell tower down to your phone, it has to get the signals from your phone boosted back out to the cell tower, because your phone has a pretty weak transmitter. I mean, that's because they're so tiny and thin. I mean, you can't possibly have a super high power transmitter. You just don't have that much power to work with. The cell phones would have horrible battery life. If you think your cell phone dies quick, imagine if it was trying to pump out lots of watts. It would die instantaneously. So I thought that a good place to start would be to figure out if these bands that this thing boosts even work with the cell phone providers that I'm using. I'm using AT&T with this cell phone and Verizon with this cell phone. So do the bands correspond? Hopefully they do. And then beyond the bands corresponding, what do the signals look like coming out of this Weboost on a spectrum analyzer? So over here on my desk, I have a spectrum analyzer. So I have the oscilloscope, which I use all the time. Love the oscilloscope. When you're dealing in the frequency domain, which we are, because we're talking about cell bands and 700 megahertz, 800 megahertz, sometimes you want to use a spectrum analyzer to actually look at the frequency domain, because spectrum analyzers specialize in measuring signals in the frequency domain. That's what they do. That's their whole lot in life. So, I mean, I can get a spectrum analyzer, so why don't I get a spectrum analyzer and try it out? I have routed the antenna all the way through this hole in my basement ceiling, and I've stuck it out near the edge of the house so that the signal comes down and it comes in this long cable, and I'm going to plug that into the spectrum analyzer, and I thought we could start there. So let's start with the baseline of what signals are coming in to the spectrum analyzer, and specifically what bands are we working with. So let me do that. A little bit of cable plugging in. It's pretty exciting. I was pretty excited to get the cell booster because, I mean, honestly, when you're out in the boonies or a state park or in your basement and you don't have cell coverage and you're trying to make calls or whatnot, it can be a real pain. I mean, I got a call this morning. I had to walk outside into my driveway just to take it because I just get terrible coverage in here. Got that camera real crooked. You can see I'm out of practice. Let me be honest, I was way out of practice this morning when I was trying to crank everything up. But I think I might actually have it here. Let's see. Oh, let's get that's my oscilloscope. Let's get the spectrum analyzer. Here we go. Spectrum analyzer engaged. So this is a frequency view of what's happening on this antenna. And ooh, there we go. Now I can see it pretty good. You can see it. Everybody can see it. I'm looking at the frequency band from 0 hertz, so all the way down to nothing, down at the bottom, all the way up to 3 gigahertz. And I'm mostly interested in just a few bands because we talked about the bands that I am going to be using today, Verizon and AT&T. And that's going to require a little bit more research, I'm afraid. So let's open up my browser window and go over to some Wikipedia. Cell frequencies in the US. Let's see what we're working with. AT&T has, I'm mostly concerned about the 4G LTE bands because if I can get 4G LTE service, I can use the internet effectively. So here are the 4G LTE bands that I'm most interested in. 700 megahertz. I have 700 megahertz AT&T, yes. And Verizon, yes. And 1900 megahertz, AT&T is partial, so that's a yes. And Verizon is partial, so also a yes. So I have bands that Verizon and AT&T work in at 700 megahertz and 1900 megahertz. What does, I mean, we say 700 megahertz and 1900 megahertz, but if we go back to the data sheet for this Weboost, you can see that there's like band 17, band 12, band 13, band 2. And these all correspond to slightly different frequencies up here. You can see these frequency bands of 699 megahertz to 716 megahertz, 729 megahertz, and 756 megahertz. So I can look at all of these individual bands on my spectrum analyzer and see what the antenna's picking up in those bands. I think maybe that's a good place to start. And then, you know what? I can write some stuff down. And we can figure out what this cell booster might do to help our signal. So let's start at 699 megahertz to 716 megahertz. So this is just the antenna running into the spectrum analyzer. Bring back up my instrument. First things first, I should probably preset because Real Pro's preset. I don't know. I just got this instrument. I don't know what the last person was doing on it. So I want to start with the clean slate. And I want to set up my frequency. So I'll hit my start frequency is 699 megahertz. 699 megahertz. There we go. Megahertz, and my stop frequency will be 716 megahertz. Okay. 716, 699. Not a lot in that frequency spectrum. So here in the techno layer, and this will be varying as you travel around, but here in the techno layer, 699 to 716 is blank, open air. Nothing is transmitting. Oh, wait a second. That might be, you know what? This might be the uplink side of things, not the downlink side. Okay, let's open back up the browser and do a little bit more research. So if I go to band, let's see, all these bands, there's so many bands. Uplink, yes, look, band 12, 699 to 716. That's the uplink. So that would be from my phone to the tower. from one of my mini phones. I have two right here. And yeah, the antenna outside would pick up activity from my phone, from anybody's phone who happens to be walking by, actually. So we're looking at all kinds of stuff here. If I go back over to one of the tricks I can do, I wanted to look at the uplink side. So this is 699 to 716. LTE band 12. I had to do, I mean, bands, they keep, why is it LTE band 12? Is 699 megahertz, starts at 699 megahertz, and then band 2 is like 1900 megahertz. I wonder if the bands are the order that they were added worldwide to this list. I couldn't find like any kind of rhyme or reason to the band number and the frequency. I don't think there is. But what do I want to do? I think I want to do a trace setup. So let's change my trace. Trace config. Instead of doing an auto peak, I think I can go in here and do max hold. So what this should do is every time I get any kind of frequency spike in this band, see, here you go. It'll hold the maximum power level. So you can see, oh, there's cell phones talking back to the cell tower being picked up in this band. So there is a little bit of traffic. Somebody's talking on band 12. I don't know which cell phone it is yet, but there is some information there. So now the next band that I want to look at will be 729. Let's go back so you can follow along. The next band I want to look at is 729 megahertz, 699 to 716. I should probably write this down so that I can remember. 716 megahertz is band 12 uplink. So from my cell phone to the tower. Next is going to be 729 megahertz to 756 megahertz. In my little notebook here, and if I go to the band frequency, 729 to 756 is band 12A and C. So there are two bands here. Because we had to divide the frequency spectrum up into tiny little chunks, all the way down to 1.4 megahertz. But a lot of your cell phone traffic rides at 5 and 10 megahertz channels. So 729 to 756 is, oh, you know what? 729 to 746 is band 12 700A. And then 46 to 56 is band 13 700C. Okay, so I will do band 12 and band 13. Band 13 downlink. This is the downlink. So this is from the cell tower to the cell phone. One cool thing about looking at these downlinks is they're going to be super active because there's going to be a lot of traffic from the tower to all the cell phones in the area. So they're going to be hopping. If I go back over to my spectrum analyzer here, the old FPL, let's change my frequency. I want to make the start frequency 729 and the stop frequency 756. Oh, I made it 729 hertz. Whoops. Goodness gracious. 729 megahertz and 756 756 megahertz. There we go. That feels good. That feels good. I can see a little bit of traffic there. The signal levels are super low though, right? So you can see a channel right here, right here. I need some cursors. Let's turn on some cursors. Oh, I forgot. They call them markers. They call them markers in the spectrum analyzer world and not cursors. So if I go and put a marker here, so 746 to 756, this will be band 13, I think. Let's see. Yeah, so this is band 13. It's about 10 megahertz wide. 746 to 756. So 10 megahertz. And if I move this guy up, you can see that my signal strength is let's see, minus 66 dBm. So with just your antenna, this band 13 downlink is minus 66 dBm. Whereas we need to check these power levels because one of the big things that the cell booster is allegedly going to do is boost this power level. So just with the antenna alone, band 13 is minus 66.46 dBm, right? That's cool. And over here, band 12, you can see the other channels like right over here, band 12 is minus 67. All right, so band 12 minus 67.83 dBm. So it's actually in the good range. It's in the good range. So I think, if I'm not mistaken, in the manual it tells us what the good range for cell signals are. Yeah, okay, so excellent is minus 90 dBm. Good is minus 91 to minus 105. And fair is minus 106 to minus 110. So that antenna is getting an excellent signal. But if I go back over, it's not that much above the noise floor. If I put this marker on this, so this is just a void between channels, I can see that my delta is about 7.15 dB. So we are, what, 7 dB above the noise floor right there, down here in the basement. I don't know if that's good or bad. It's tough to say. It's tough to say since I'm an O-scope wizard, not a cell booster wizard. At the end of this will be a cell booster wizard. Now, the next frequency band. So we just did the downlink for band 12 and band 13. And the next one is 777 to 787 megahertz. So 777 to 787 megahertz, according to the Weboost. And then the next one will be 820. I'm just going to write these down so I have them in my notebook. 824 to 894. 894 megahertz. And then we get to the 1900 band, which is 850 to 1995. 1710 to 1755. Sounds like, I don't know, Revolutionary War years. Or actually, this would be constructionist years, and the United States after the Civil War. No, before. This would be Revolutionary War years. Uh, shortly after, anyway. Shortly before. Goodness gracious, 1775. What am I doing? Going off on a long tangent to prove my ignorance. 2110 to 2155. Guys, I did take history. They do force the people in the United States to learn United States history. You'd think that I never even heard the subject before. Am I bad? Let's go back and figure out where these bands are. So 1777 and 1787, 1777 to 1787. Uplink for band 12, or band 13. Band 13 uplink. So I'm not as excited about the uplinks right now. I'm mostly concerned about the downlinks, and I'm going to go back and test the uplink side. I think with a signal generator, that's one way to do it with the cell booster. What I can do is I can generate a signal, send it through the cell booster, and see what it does to that signal. Does it actually boost it up? But this is a pretty important part because this is going to be your upload speed from your phone back to the world. 824 to 894. That's a big chunk of spectrum. 824 to 894. This is band 5? Do they claim band 5 in there? Oh yeah, okay. They claim band 5. Of course they do. Band 5. So this is band 5. 824 to 894 is actually the entire chunk of band 5. So this is just band 5 up and down. 824 to 894, band 5 up and down. Interesting. 1850 to 1995. That's a nice, that's a huge chunk. 850 megahertz. Hopefully band 5 is full of stuff. I don't know if any of my phones use band 5, unfortunately. 1850 to 1995. Band 2. Band 2, up and down. Another nice chunk. I think that my AT&T phone wants to use band 2. Like that's what it wants to do. And it's heart of hearts. It's always, we're going to figure out if we can figure out. We're going to figure out if we can figure out. We're going to figure out if my phone is using band 2 or not. 1710 to 1755 is band 3 up. Looks like. So this is band 3 up, not down. Uplink. Band 3 uplink. And then 2110 to 2155 is band 1 uplink. Right? Wait a second. 2110 to 2155 in North America is band 4 uplink. Because we are in North America. In fact, did I write this down? 1710 to 1755. I might have. So I jumped on band 3, but that's global. 1710 to 1755 is band 4. That's why. So these cell boosters are region specific, certainly, because they have to not only amplify the signal, but they have to amplify certain bands. So they will have filtering in them to make sure they only amplify those bands. As far as I can tell, we're going to test it. And then 21210 is band 4. 2110 and 2155, band 4 downlink. All right, band 4 down. All right. So let's check out the downlink. So Band 5 is the next downlink. Band 5. Downlink 869 to 894. Go back to my VNC. You know, while I have this plugged in, I'm going to figure out if, so this is band 12, right? 12 and 13 that I'm looking at. So if I go to my phones, I used, so on this phone right here, this is a Google Pixel 2. My friend broke the screen, crushed the screen, and said that if I recycled it, I could use it. So I replaced the screen yesterday, got the thing up and running, and I have this app called LTE Discovery on this Google Pixel phone, and this thing is supposed to tell me what band I'm in, and band 5. So, oh, is that? Oh, it's on band 5. Okay. So I figure we could look at the phone, figure out what band we're in. I'll go over here. So we're in band 5. And it is really cool because it tells me the download frequency and the upload frequency. So it is 874 megahertz. So band 5, 874 megahertz. And then on the iPhone, you have to do kind of a weird mode because, of course, it doesn't allow you to install fancy apps like that. But you can put the phone into field test mode by typing in *3001 pound 12345 pound star. And then boom, we're in field test mode. And in field test mode, it tells me, I think it tells me that I'm in band 2. So AT&T band 2. Can we see that? And, there we go. Let me turn off this light. There we go. This is a really weird color, unfortunate color that they have chosen to display this, but band 2, LTE band 2. So I've got a band 2 and a band 5. Let's start with band 5. Figure out if the cell booster is going to do anything. So if I look at, I guess the first thing to do is look at band 5 as it stands. I can see right here that my signal strength is, let's see what it says its signal strength is. Minus 114, is that right? RSRP, I think that's it. Okay, yeah, minus 114. So it is getting to this Google Pixel. We'll start with this one, band 5, minus 114 dBm. So if I remember, that is below what the cell booster says is good. So that's a terrible signal. That's a terrible signal. We want to be, for excellent signals, we would like to be, go back to my browser, between minus 106 and minus 110. That's fair. Oh, good is minus 91 to minus 105. We're in poor. We're in poor. We're right above the dead zone. Can we boost it up? So back to my frequency band here. Let's see, band 5. That's 869 to 894, and my phone is using 874. So let's back to frequency. 869 to 894. 869 megahertz to 894 megahertz. band 5. So this is my band 5, 800. It's commonly called the 850 megahertz band. Why? Why would it be called the 850 megahertz? I guess that's because the uplink is. They had to choose. They had to call it something. Band 5, 850. I don't see anything. So it says, let's see, marker 1. Let's bring this to 874 megahertz. This is where my phone is getting the signal. I mean, it is down in the mud. Let's see, we can turn our reference level down. Start seeing it as I turn my reference level way down, way down. I can start seeing the signal down here. So this is the signal coming to my spectrum analyzer from the antenna, the big, huge Weboost antenna, not the one that's actually going into my phone. So if I could get this much power into my phone, I think it would make a pretty big difference. But what is going to happen when I run the antenna through this signal booster? So the next step is going to be run the antenna through the signal booster into my spectrum analyzer to see if that makes a difference. So have some cables here. SMA cable to go from the signal booster to my spectrum analyzer. Need to move my antenna from my spectrum analyzer into my signal booster. You know what I should do before I get too crazy? Okay, so I need to probably save this trace. Save this trace. Trace. Copy trace. Copy to trace 2. Trace 2. Trace config. Trace 2. I think that's what I want. Let's see. We'll find out. I've tried to get trace 2 to hold onto the screen so that we have some kind of a reference. The power level was minus 74 dBm, just from the antenna into the spectrum analyzer. Now, so outside antenna, that's this one. Outside. And we're going to go from this side into the spectrum analyzer. Let's see, I got kind of a stiff cable here. It's a constant battle with cables. You want nice cables so there's not a lot of loss. But it seems like the nicer the cables are, the stiffer the cables are. To the point where it's like hard to use the cable. Because it's so stiff. Like super nice, but impossible to use. I call it brake lines. It's like a rigid metal cable almost. But that is what it is. So trace 1. I'd like to go to view. Run. Okay. So if I look at this signal before I turn on the booster, you can see on my spectrum analyzer, there's nothing. So I have the saved trace. Trace 2 is the saved trace of just the antenna. Now I'm going to plug the booster in, and hopefully we don't blow it up. Boom! Look at that. It is boosting it quite a bit. Look at the signal. So it's channel 1 is now much higher than sorry, trace 1 is much higher than trace 2. If I go to trace 1 here, and we'll do a max hold again, so we get a nice, beautiful picture. Woo! That's nice. That is nice. Marker 1, delta marker right here. Get that. My signal to noise ratio, or my signal to noise is now 18 dB. Nice, nice. I think I can. Can I say marker trace 2? And then marker 2 to trace 2. So my signal to noise before was 11 dB, and now my signal to noise is 18 dB. That is quite a bit better. That is a massive improvement. Yeah, 19 dB. That's incredible. So, what did it do for my phone on band 5? We can see that the cell booster actually boosted the signal quite a bit. It was pretty awesome. The spectrum analyzer is telling me that. And this is real world. This is hooked up in my basement looking at the signals coming out. What is going to happen when I actually hook up the other antenna? Does it improve the signal? So right now, another good test, I think, is doing some speed tests, because I'm curious, you know, what's going to happen. So right now we are at minus 113 dBm power level on my phone, which is terrible. And if I go over here to speed test, let's figure out if the speed test will even run. So we're going to hit go. And we are getting 1 meg, 2 megabits per second, which is pretty doggone slow. Let's run this speed test. 2 meg down, 2.7 meg down. And oh my goodness, the upload is 0.25 megabits, so kilobits. It's like we're on a modem. On a 50, we're slower than a 56K modem. A 56K modem would have been, no, it's faster than a 56. So this is, even with this terrible coverage, it's 320 kilobits per second. So still faster than an old modem. But if I plug in the inside antenna, so this comes with an indoor antenna that has a very short range, but it's designed to just be in your house or your RV, and you're supposed to stand very close to it, and it will boost the signal in a small area. So let's plug it in. We can see on the spectrum analyzer that it did a pretty good job of boosting the signal, which is awesome. Band 5, killing it in band 5. Everything was in band 5. Everything's plugged in, so, oh man, already, look at this. My LTE bars are way up, way up. LTE discovery. What's my power level? So it was minus 114, now it's at minus 89, which is, according to the Weboost manual, minus 89 is excellent. That is an excellent signal. I go back here, let's see. You can see, according to their own little results table here, minus 90 is, anything above minus 90 is excellent, and minus 89 is above that. So the other thing that I can do is, goodness, this timeout, the screen timeout is for real serious. No, minus 92. Oh, now we're not at excellent, we're at good. We were at excellent. Probably need to hold it differently to get excellent. I don't know. All right, we're at almost excellent. If I do a speed test now, so we were at 2.74 and 0.32. See, 2.74 megabits and 0.32 megabits up. I want to go again. I want to go again. Does it improve? Connecting. Connecting. What in the world? Oh man, when I hit go, I don't know, you can't really see it, but this little number right here is telling me the cell band that it's using. And it just jumped to band 66? Why would it jump to band 66? My boost is actually lower. Look at this. My speed is 2.54 and up. What is up going to be? My goodness, my ping is huge. 255 milliseconds. That is a really, oh my goodness, my up is down. My up is down. Okay. This is the frustration that people have with cell boosters. Oh, yes. So for some reason, the phone just jumped to band 66. Why would you do that, phone? Why would you do that? I wonder, look, minus 105, band 66. Why would you jump to band 66? What is band 66? So we were on band 5. We were just cruising along, and now we're at band 66. Band 66? I thought we were going to have some really good boosting. Band 66 is 2110, 2155. Wait a second, I thought that was 2110 to 2155. I have that as band 4 down. But 2110 to 2155 is also band 66. 2110 to 2155. Okay, AWS-1, and this is AWS-3. Why did it do that? Why did it do that? So it says that, let's see, 2110 to 2155. It does band 4 though. Band 4, not band 66. So band 4 and band 66 are going to be right beside each other. But it's not going to help me because it's going to, oh yeah. Oh, come on, man. Come on, cell phone. Jump back on band 5. Why? Let's see if it'll jump to band 5. Can one telephone to go to a certain band? You probably can to get smarter about it. All right, so let's go look at, you know what? Actually, we've probably done it enough. We've done enough today. Let's go back. So we've talked about bands and cell boosters, and you could see in real life the frustration people have with cell boosters. The cell booster boosts band 5, and we could see on a spectrum analyzer it was doing a great job of boosting band 5. The cell phone was on band 5. I turned the booster on, and the cell phone jumps to band 66, which the cell booster does not boost. it boosts some and doesn't boost all. So I need to do a little bit more research maybe into forcing my cell into certain bands and avoiding other bands. Also, on the next Nextoscope Wizard, we can take this a step further and use a signal generator, which is going to give us a lot more control over the signal that we are trying to send into and out of the cell booster, because I'm wondering how much signal to noise ratio can I expect from the cell booster? I could see that it looked like it was about 20 dB, which is great. That's awesome. I would love 20 dB is a ton of signal to noise ratio in the cell world. But if I use a signal generator, I can also check the signals coming from the cell phone side back out to the antenna side and figure out how much it can actually send signals back up, because my upload is, you know, probably going to be worse than my download. Next time, guys, next time, we're back. We're doing it. We're Oscope wizarding and trying to figure out problems. I don't know all the nerds in the world, but I would love to meet them. So please share this with a nerd in your life, especially if they're interested in cell boosters and how that works. Does it work? It looks like it could, like it theoretically works. We just proved that. As long as your cell phone jumps on the band that the booster is actually boosting. I will see you guys next time. Check the website, the YouTube website, for a schedule of the live streams. Take it easy. Talk to you later. Bye.